Hello, I wanted to show a little quick tip how to make ties. And often the ties could be like on this little drawstring bag, narrow ties that I made using the fabric. Or it could be on a bag where I have a little bit wider tie and I just cover the raw edges with the ribbon. Multiple ways to make ties. One would be to sew just a strip of fabric and then use variety of different tube turners, turn it right side out, and that's a tie. Other options could be to just take a strip of fabric, fold those edges together and fold them one more time and stitch it either using the edge joining foot or then a bias binder foot. Or then if you don't want to just press things, turning your fingers, this is a great way to get those edges together also is to use the bias binder makers. And they come all kinds of sizes also. But the tip that I'm going to show today, I'll be using a blind hem foot. Kind of an odd thing. Why would I use a blind hem foot to make a tie? Well, I want to really imitate this a bit so that how do I keep those two raw edges together so that I don't have to do any pressing. And I have a very narrow strip of fabric. So I'm going to turn this one kind of double fold so it ends up being a quarter of the size that the current width is. So I'm going to go and change into the blind hem foot on my machine. The blind hem foot has a guide in the middle. So that's the difference compared to the edge joining foot. Edge joining foot, the guide stops on that part where the needle goes. The blind hem foot, that guide goes all the way through. So when we do in a blind hem, that the swing of the needle kind of stretches over that vertical part and makes it go a little bit looser stitches for the blind hem. So I'm going to plug this one in my machine. And I also go on a screen and I will pick up the blind hem stitch. Because blind hem, I kind of think we would do a blind hem stitch. Well, I'm going to then change the stitch setting a little bit. My machine, it says width. But I can move the stitch to go either a little bit further by the left or right, depending on which direction I touch the buttons. I want to go all the way to the left. So I just shifted the stitch a little bit from the center towards left. And then I have my strip of fabric. I'll fold it wrong sides together. So that in the end result, this is going to be right side out because I start already by folding the wrong sides together. And I will line up under my pressure foot the raw edges right next to the guide. And when I'm stitching, the only part of the stitch that goes to the fabric is that little left swing. The right side will be going up in the air. That's all I really want. So I just keep those raw edges against the guide. And that little left swing, when it goes over that bar, stretches those threads a little bit out of the way. So let me show a little bit. Trying to keep my hands away from the camera a bit. And that'll be good. So that's all I'm gonna do in the sample. There are other kinds of blind hem feet also. This one has an adjustable guide. I don't like to use that for this technique because I want to have that little extra stretchiness on those threads. Because all I wanted on this case was something to hold that center raw edges together so I can flatten the seam. So if I wanted to just to use it as my spur strap, I could sew a ribbon in the middle to hide this one. Or then if I want to make a little bit stronger tie like I had on that drawstring bag, I will fold this one now one more time so that all those raw edges are together. Notice I didn't use any iron, I just finger pressed everything. And the best foot to use on the next part would be either the edge joining foot, stitching the ditch foot, or I could also then use this adjustable guide, blind hem foot also. There's a new foot that Baby Lock has. This has a guide a little bit further out. Wouldn't be good for this, but it's another great foot when you need that little extra guide. So now I'm going to lay out my folded edges right next to the guide. And I'll change on my machine to the straight stitch. and I put the needle a little bit, actually all the way to the left, but I'm gonna move it a little bit closer to the edge. So I'm gonna just be close to the edge so that I'll be stitching a straight stitch right there. And again, if I do another fold, and I'm just using the guide of the foot and cut the threads. I have the multifunction foot control on my machine, so I was just using my feet to cut the threads. But here is a very narrow tie, all sewn without any press in between. So that was my tip for today.